Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. My name is Naveed Hussain. I am joined by my brother Obaid Hussain. And so today we wanted to talk about my brother's experience at Qalam in Dallas. So he attended the Seerah conference. It was an intensive. And so I haven't asked him any questions about it. We thought that as we catch up, that we can catch all of you up so that you can learn more about Qalam, the Seerah conference, whether you should take it, whether you should not take it. So, his reflections and his reviews and things like that. So let's just start off with the very beginning of why did you even sign up for the Seerah conference?
Yeah, no, that's a good question. I'm glad you asked that. So I'm going to try to be as real as possible, but then also be respectful too. So that's my goal, right? How to have a delicate balance over here.
Yes.
So the reason why I did it was for multiple reasons, man. So one, to cover the logistics, I had a week off from work. They gave us a week off for Christmas week. So that was one. So I knew that if I were to take the Seerah program, I'd only have to take one PTO, so might as well go. Another one is my in-laws live there too, so it gives us an excuse to go over there and chill with them and visit them. But then the most important reason was because I knew that I was slacking in the Islamic academic world. The past few years I've been neglecting it, unfortunately. I try to read books here and there, but then when I read books, I don't go back and try to review what I read or take notes on anything. It just goes one ear out the other sometimes when I listen to podcasts and read books. So I knew that I was lacking in the academic world, right? So I thought that in order to hopefully jumpstart my academic career in Islam, I thought this would be a good way to start. Mm-hmm. So a lot of things lined up correctly, and so I decided to jump on it, and alhamdulillah, no regrets.
When did you sign up? How long ago?
I signed up a while ago. So the way that they were marketing, they were really good. Qalam, They made it seem as if it's running out. Okay. So I jumped on it in I want to say September maybe.
Okay.
So I did it way early because the way they market, they're really smart, man. They on their Instagram, everything like that. Yeah. They're like, sign up before it's too late. And then I saw the day before, December 21st, when it started, they're like, oh, there's still open spots. I was like, what? He's like, why'd you rush me so badly? But no, I guess it made me stop being lazy and just jump in, right? That is my Achilles heel. Sometimes I delay khair.
Yeah.
I do that sometimes.
Yeah.
So this gave me a good excuse to jump on it and stop overthinking it.
How much was it?
It was $800 per person.
Okay, per person.
Per person.
And so what does that $800 include?
Yeah, so the $800 includes a couple things. It includes a shirt. It includes a customized textbook, actually, from Sheikh Abdul Nasser Jangda, which I didn't expect. They did say textbook, but I didn't know it would be written just for the Seerah program. I thought it would just be maybe a book that someone else written already, but he actually wrote this book for the Seerah students. So it was really customized. It was awesome. Keychains, a bag, notebooks. It had a nice clean white notebook too. So it has some cool merch.
Okay. And so that $800 is for the tuition, but what if you needed accommodations or something like that?
Right. So actually the $800 also covered lunch as well. So every day we had lunch, and if the day landed on Jummah, then it would start after Jummah, and then we'd have dinner together. So it would guarantee one meal a day.
Okay.
If you are coming from out of town and you needed a hotel, that would be a little bit more.
Okay.
It was $1,200 per person if you had the $800, whatever that included, the hotel and shuttle rides in between. So they even have shuttle rides for people staying in nearby hotels.
So basically another $400 for 10 days of a hotel.
Yeah. That's pretty intense. I wonder if I'm missing something with that, but that's what it looked like in the website.
Okay. Was there any preliminary things that you had to prepare or look through or anything pre-class?
Not much. Once you logged in, or once you paid for the program, after maybe about a month or so, pretty closely to the Seerah program starting, they gave you an account, like a Qalam portal, where they have the schedule, what to expect, a syllabus, what to expect there. And in that portal, you have access to recordings.
Oh, really?
So once the class is done, each of the 10 days, you may have to wait a day or two for that whole recording to be posted in that portal too. So we now have access to that portal forever now.
I wonder, can you just do the online version?
You can. So if you wanted to pay the online version, it would be, I think, $300. I could be wrong. But at the same time, I that was an option as well. But I really wanted that in-class experience because I really wanted that teacher-student experience. I'm tired of the podcast and the khutbahs that I see the imam 20 minutes a day, 20 minutes every week. I really wanted a teacher-student environment. I know that I was lacking in that, so I look forward to that.
Something that someone told me once is that, when we go we kind of go for entertainment, right? We go to speeches
Yeah.
and we go to talks and khutbahs and we dig holes in like random places.
Yes.
But when you're in a curriculum, when you're taking a class, you actually can concentrate, dig a hole, and actually get to where you want to get to.
Exactly. That's what I was craving because I knew that I was lacking in that. And this intensive, worked out for my work schedule, worked out with my family situation as well. So I would be an idiot if I passed up on this opportunity.
So how many days was it?
It was 10 days. It started on December 22nd. That's the Friday.
Okay.
And then it ended on December 31st, which is a Sunday.
Okay, so what was like the schedule?
So every day, besides Fridays, it was 8 to 5, 8 to Maghrib, basically.
Oh wow, that's intense.
So it was a pretty deep schedule. So I'd literally wake up at 6:30 for Fajr, and I like somehow kill time for like 20-30 minutes. And then I would just go to Qalam, 8 a.m. We'd have breaks pretty often, and then right by the time Maghrib ends, we're expected to pray Maghrib together, and then we all leave.
So like, what's the schedule from 8 to 5? Like, what's the breakdown?
Yeah. So every hour and a half there is a break.
Okay.
But every hour was something along with the book that we were provided, right? So I knew that the first day we covered a lot of like his first 40 years because there wasn't much information there. So we covered that pretty often. But
The book, sorry, you got the book when you arrived there, or did you get a book before you got there?
when we arrived there,
Okay.
it was already waiting for us in our seats.
Okay.
Along with the other merchandise. So we had no merchandise. All we had before going in was just the online access.
Okay. So sorry, you were saying the first day was spent on the first 40 years of the Prophet.
Yeah, pretty much. Our first day or two. But every hour was a topic, and then we'd break either for snacks or for a salah. And that would be the only reason why we'd break.
And so it's just pure lecture style?
Yeah, pure lectures. There are some things that I can't wait to discuss that they had some interactive activities as well.
Yeah.
Which I hope to get off my chest that I want to kind of vent about. But the pros were that there was a lot of lecture time.
Yeah.
We learned everything from the book. You were able to go with the flow of it. And what's nice about the book, sorry to go off on here.
No.
But what's nice about the book was that the sheikh didn't have to waste time asking me questions about, what's the name of that Sahaba you talked about?
Yeah.
What was the date again?
Yeah.
We were able to just go to the book while he's speaking. It's like, that date. And we could just continue listening.
Yeah.
Because if we kept interrupting for those little questions,
Yeah.
it would just ruin the flow of both the students and teachers.
So what about like questions and answers or quizzes, anything like that?
Yeah, so they didn't have much room for questions. They tried their best to, after every hour and a half, to leave like 10-15 minutes. But that time was only spent for the hour the lecture was about. The topic was what I had for the hour.
Okay.
So let's say, for example, we're talking about the Treaty of Hudaybiyah for an hour.
Yeah.
The last 15 minutes, you're only able to ask questions about the Treaty of Hudaybiyah, which makes sense.
Yeah.
And if you do want to ask questions about other topics that were discussed, you could catch the teachers during the break or talk to them after class. But it was pretty quick paced.
How many people were there?
It was a bunch of people, man. It was they said on the Instagram, it was like over 270 students.
Really, mashallah.
Yeah, and the classroom was actually pretty comfortable. Like,
Yeah.
it didn't feel like that many.
So it's at the Qalam seminary itself?
Yeah. So side by side next to the musalla, there's a huge classroom for all of us to fit, and there are also students online too. So
you're like sitting on chairs and everybody.
yeah, sitting on chairs, sitting on tables, had our pens, had plenty of space, and we were able to take
like
notes.
screens and stuff around you.
Yeah, so there's actually 2 TV screens per side, per women and men's side.
Okay.
So we were able to see him all day.
And then like kids and stuff were there too.
So there was a Seerah for Kids program
Yeah.
that I think it was kids ages 5 and up or something like that. So they had like arts and crafts and they built stuff and painted. So that was a completely different side of the institute. We have no idea where they even were.
Okay.
Yeah.
So then you're 8 to 5, and so like who are the teachers?
Yeah, so there were 4 teachers predominantly. There were Ustada Fatima Let, Ustada Atifa, Sheikh Mikhail, and then Sheikh Abdul Nasser.
Mashallah.
So there was four of those teachers just kind of mixed in and out.
Okay.
The majority of the time we had was Ustada Atifa and then Sheikh Abdul Nasser.
Okay, mashallah.
Yeah. Sheikh Mikhail came near the end of the program, like a few hours here and there.
Yeah.
And then Ustada Fatima did tag in here and there as well, but those 2 were the main heads.
Okay. And so like you're going through these lectures. Do you have any worksheets or anything else that you're filling out at the same time, or like note taking? Is there a test that you have to prepare for? Like, how does that work?
Yeah, there wasn't many things else besides a textbook and a notebook that they provided.
Yeah.
So what I did, what I discovered as the days went on, is whenever they talked about anything in the book, the content written in the book, I'll just like take notes on the side of the book, like on the margins.
Yeah.
And then if Sheikh Abdul Nasser, if any other teacher talked about another story that didn't relate to the book, I'll jot those down in the notebook that they provided. So that was the recipe that I followed as the days went on.
And then how were the 10 days broken up? So I know you said the first day was the first 40 years of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam's life, but like how were the rest of it structured?
Yeah. So I don't remember the exact days that were, but I could tell you that the majority of the days were covered for the Medinan aspect, because I think that he mentioned that during his time in Mecca, there isn't nearly as much information as there was when he was in Medina.
Yeah.
So we covered a lot of the days in Medina, which
Okay.
is like the second half of the class.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how many days approximately? Do you remember?
So I would say probably like, man, probably like 5 days was covered in Medina.
Okay.
And then maybe 4 days was covered in Mecca.
Okay.
And then the first day was covered for his first 40 years of life.
Okay. So how did it feel, like the flow of the class? Like, did you get tired? Was it, like, how did that feel?
Yeah. So I think one thing I really wanted to let people know was that when anyone signs up for a Seerah intensive or any intensive, they know that it's going to be tiring, right?
Yeah.
They're ready to sit down, take notes, learn, right? So I was actually fine with that, and a lot of students that I talked to were okay with that. One issue that I had was sometimes they pushed the interactive part a little too much. I guess we could save it for the cons or something like that. But overall, it was pretty intense. Alhamdulillah, we learned a bunch. It was a break every hour and a half for like 15 minutes, so we're able to like run to routes to get coffee or just like sit in the musalla for a little bit, take our time, and then come back. So there are plenty of breaks. It never felt like it was like dragging.
Okay. What about like interaction or building a relationship with the teachers?
So another thing I wish that we had more of. I knew with over 270 students, it's going to be hard to do that. So I already had that coming in. We were able to like say salam to the sheikhs during the breaks, but we didn't get to have much interaction or time to like one-on-one time. One-on-one time is probably hard to do.
Yeah.
But
Like
I
hangout
wish
time.
Yeah, I wish there were like more times where they were available at our disposal just to chill with us, not just in the classroom setting,
Yeah.
but just see them in a more casual setting to see what they're like, how they really are.
Okay.
Because you don't really see sheikhs like that in that light.
Yeah. What about after 5 p.m.? Was there any supplemental programs or anything else you would do after class?
So around dinner time, right before after Isha, they had socials. So that was mostly catered for the students that were there. So sometimes the men would go to like Noodle Wave, sisters would go to some other masjid or some other restaurant like Wave Bowl. There's like Pazuki nights and there's like socials. There's actually chai nights. There's some Q&A nights here and there too with some of the teachers, which is really cool. To be honest, I had a wife and kid at home, bro. I wasn't gonna like take too much time with that.
No, makes sense.
But it was awesome that they even had that. Like I think that was really cool because people from all over the country and the world were there. So it gave us an opportunity to network. I got a lot of people's numbers and a lot of LinkedIn's in my contacts now. So they did a good job of basically harboring that environment for us to connect with people.
And then guys and girls, like they sit separate, or how do people?
Yeah. Even though it was Dallas, they actually were separated. I was like, oh man, Dallas has a parlor here. Okay, that's impressive. Yeah, so they actually had a parlor there, so we had to worry about intermingling or anyone spitting game or anything like that.
Okay.
Yeah, we didn't barely see the men and women.
What was like the age range, like the average dude or girl?
So average age range. So the big age range was probably like 18 to maybe like 35.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it's a pretty big age
Young,
range.
but it's kind of young.
Yeah,
On the young
there are
side.
actually some like pretty good amount of high school kids.
Okay.
A lot of dads brought their high school kids over because they all went to break.
Yeah.
So I saw a lot of father and son combinations, which was really awesome to see.
Yeah, alhamdulillah.
So yeah, there was pretty big age range, but I would say more on the younger side.
Okay, alhamdulillah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm not, that kind of the structure and things like that, but like kind of getting into the content of things. So, like, obviously you've read Seerah before, you've listened to talks before, podcasts before. So what was different about this, or what did you take out of this particular style of learning the Seerah?
Yeah. This was way more beneficial for me, for my brain, how it works. I'm a lot of people would agree with me, I'm sure. I'm a visual learner, It's hard for me to just pick up knowledge from like words on a book and expect me to just retain that. You know, I'm able to read it. I'll remember it for maybe like a few minutes or so, but then I don't know if it's ADD or something like that. I just can't remember much, and it just kind of goes out of the window. But with this, having an actual textbook, having a notebook side by side, having a teacher actually say it out loud to you too, so it gives you a chance to see it with your eyes, the text on the paper with visuals like graphs and maps and charts, along with your teacher actually sharing the story with you too. You had like double the chance to retain this information. Okay, plus you getting a chance to write it down too. So I felt like I way more confident in learning the Seerah. Not an expert, obviously. Even the Sheikh Abdul Nasser, like the last day, was like, "Don't get excited about this. This is like you just touching the surface of the Seerah." Okay, so don't ever think that like you're qualified to give. He didn't. I'm kind of exaggerating here. Don't feel qualified to like give khutbahs or give talks. You're literally just scratching the surface right now to like a never-ending journey. Like Sheikh Abdul Nasser, he mentioned that he has been studying Seerah for 35 years, and he still feels like he's scratching the surface. I'm sure he's being a little bit too modest at the time, but I know his point. There's probably so much more he has to learn, and if he has a lot to learn, imagine me.
Yes. So like, what were some takeaways, or like, what were some gems of the Seerah that maybe you haven't heard before, or like a different perspective, or you know, anything like that?
Yeah, one thing I want to mention. So I wrote in my blog today, actually. If anyone read that, smallsave.com, is one thing that I learned was that we don't learn the Seerah the way we learn the Quran. Like when you say, "Oh, we should revise the Seerah," people might think, "Revise the Seerah? What are you talking about?" You have to just read the Seerah. You have to just learn the Seerah. But revise the Seerah? What does that mean? So there is a quick story about Ali ibn Abi Talib's son, who mentioned that he mentioned that he would be taught by him just like he would be taught the Quran. So how I imagine how that would go in our times, right? You know, like me and you, like let's say we're driving down the street, we're alone. Sometimes we like just start reciting Quran here and there. We recite Surah Fatiha. We learn whatever ayah we learned that day that we memorized. We'll like recite that regularly, right? But how often do we randomly recite the lineage of Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam? Or how often do we recite all of his children or his wives or like big battles? We never gonna just drive down the street and talk about battles, right? But what he discussed, Sheikh Abdul Nasser, what really stood out to me was that we should start learning the Seerah how we learn the Quran. Take notes, get a teacher, revise. You know, like go back to the stories and read the story again to see how we responded to certain things. You know, we don't really, we don't do that. I don't do that enough. I never even thought that was even an idea to revise the Seerah. But literally practice it, because although the Seerah doesn't change, you change. So the way that you interpret a story, that how he responded to a situation when you're a teenager, you might have a different perspective of how he responded to that same situation when you're 20s or 30s. You're like, you might appreciate it more. So although the Seerah doesn't change, you change. So that therefore you should be continuously reading the Seerah, memorizing it, do hifz on the Seerah. Like I was like, man, that's fascinating, and that makes perfect sense.
No, absolutely. Any other like incidences from his life, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, or you know, again, like it's something, you know, I know that's a broad point in terms of the takeaway of revising and making sure that we keep it, you know, in our head, and you know, just like we read the Quran, that read the Seerah. But anything in particular about the Seerah, or any story, or any takeaway in particular, or like an event that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam experienced that you're taking away?
Yeah, one thing that I always get fascinated by when I hear anything about the Seerah is how he responded to his wives and how he interacted with them, right? Because me and you obviously could relate. We've been married for a few years, and we're always looking for ways to improve ourselves in our marriage, right? And the best way to improve ourselves is to learn how he responded to his situations in his marriage. So one thing that I mentioned, that I heard, was there's a hadith that he said where he mentioned that, like, be good to your wives because I'm the best to my wife. Best to my wives. So how I took that was that he's literally putting the ownership on himself to be an example for us to follow. Like, it's tough. He's gonna be the guy. The reason why he said that was because how I interpret it is basically challenging himself to make sure that he stays upright with his relationships. So he's taking ownership of what he said. So follow me. Like the fact that he just took ownership is so amazing, because like that's a tough, like, tough responsibility to put on yourself. Like,
Yeah.
I'm the best to my wives.
Yeah.
But obviously, he is the best to his wives.
Yeah.
So, who is a better person to learn from? That's one thing. And another thing that I mentioned was, like, I talked to Sheikh Abdul Nasser about this. I actually took time out to ask him about this. Like, how did Muhammad SAW feel telling people to send salutations upon him?
Yeah.
I asked this question to you too a while ago, right?
Yeah.
And he gave an answer saying, like, that is definitely not his character.
Yeah.
Like, after he did the conquest of Mecca, right?
Yeah,
I remember after he conquested Mecca, after years and years of oppression and bullying from his own family, kicking him out to a different city, he came back and he completed Mecca, right? Yeah. It's his now.
Yeah.
When you see kings rolling into a new land that they created, that they took over, you see them high praise, like their shoulders are standing tall, there's flowers being thrown at him, had the sickest gear on. But Muhammad SAW, when he walks into Mecca after years of oppression, his head is so low to the horses that he's hitting the horse's neck. That's how low he is. He doesn't want any attention. He's so humble. And there's another story where one of the Ansaris was holding the flag representing Islam, right? Yeah. And he told Abu Sufyan that today there's going to be bloodshed, And Muhammad SAW said, there's not going to be any bloodshed today. He took that flag from that guy and he gave it to his son to honor him still. So that's his way of still punishing him, but still honoring him by giving him to his son. So, for example, if I took the flag from you and gave it to Idris, is that really a big shot towards you? Not really, right? 'Cause I'm still honoring your family by giving it to your son. Like, he's so, like, calculated, man. SubhanAllah, like, so amazing.
That's amazing.
So he said after years of oppression, his head's down to the horses, and he's saying there's not going to be any bloodshed today. If you're in your house, you're gonna be safe. If you're in the masjid, you're gonna be safe. Basically, if you're anywhere, you're gonna be safe.
Yeah.
So he's not gonna take any revenge on anyone. Like the times that he had opportunities to take revenge on that he didn't do it was just so impressive. Because the reason why he didn't was because it was only towards himself where people attacked him. But if people attacked Allah or his people, then that's when he would take revenge. Just injustice. Yeah. But if anyone just insulted him, he would never take revenge. He's like, oh, whatever. Yeah. Like, SubhanAllah, man. There's tons of stories I could just list off. I could rant about this forever. All thanks to this intensive. I learned so much. Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah. So, like, what are you gonna do to keep up with the stuff that you learned?
Yeah, one thing I definitely want to read the book often. Just how we're told to read Quran at least 10 minutes a day, at least. I'm going to try to my best to take a few minutes to read the Seerah book as well, side by side. If I'm going through any financial difficulty or any problems with my marriage, I'm going to go back and go back to the notes I took regarding the wives of the prophets and how he responded to situations there, because he had his own battles with his wives too. So whenever you're feeling your own difficulty in life, the Prophet Muhammad took one for the team and probably suffered that same situation. And he responded the best way possible. So, man, his life is so difficult. And it was so difficult just for us to have a role model. Like, he sacrificed, like, all of his, like, all the pain, everything that he went through was for us to learn from him.
Yeah, Allah. Did Sheikh Mikhail, did he drop anything about, like, the emotional intelligence type stuff that he writes about?
Here and there, he did a shameless plug with the book during his talk, which is hilarious. It was a troll. Of course, as he should. So with emotional intelligence, not really much. One thing that he talked about that we overlook, but we shouldn't, is that when someone would talk to him, he would turn his whole body around. So Abdul Nasser Janda actually mentioned this part where, like, if me and you were to, if someone called one of our names, if someone called my name, I'd probably, like, just be on my phone still and, like, look over there, like, yeah, what's up? Yeah. And then maybe if someone asked Sheikh Abdul Nasser Janda for a question, he'll, like, go over there and he's like, I have a swivel chair and I'm still not willing to turn my whole body around to talk to people. But Muhammad Sallallahu, without a swivel chair, he took the time out to redirect his whole body towards someone and gave him the full attention. Allah. Yeah, it's like this little subtle things that are so practical. Yeah. What this intensive did was, like, I actually see how practical these things could be in our day to day. You're thinking before you really learn Seerah, like, man, his life was so impractical. Like, the Sahabas was so impractical. They're on a different level. But then when you realize the real life situations that he performed within, you realize that it's really not that hard to mimic. It's really practical.
Allah, that's amazing. That's amazing. So what about, like, what could have been done better? with the course?
Yeah, a couple things. One, as I briefly mentioned, I wish there was more interaction with the sheikhs. Maybe I didn't sought out those opportunities enough, but I really wish that I had more exposure. You know, I'm someone from Illinois. You hear so much about Qalam and the sheikhs, and you do see during the Seerah Intensive how awesome these teachers are.
Yeah.
They're really awesome. They're able to deliver messages so beautifully, and you're able to connect, and they're very approachable too. But I wish there were more times during maybe those socials where they would attend maybe here and there, one or two, or they would sit with us for lunch and just talk casually, you know, because I don't know about other people, but me as a Muslim, it's hard for me to really connect to a sheikh, to a scholar in general, anywhere, not just Qalam, because you're told, see a sheikh, be a student of a sheikh, learn from them, but then when I try to connect with the sheikh, they're like, oh, I'm busy with doing this, doing that, you know, and they have very busy schedules. Of course, they're tackling a lot of things. So I thought, maybe with this opportunity, being an actual student, paying for it, that I would hope for more exposure towards the sheikhs and get them just to talk casually, ask questions here and there. Maybe they did, maybe I didn't sound out enough, but I wish there were more opportunities for that. That's one thing. Another thing that I had that I still vent to my wife and other people about is some of the interactive or engaging activities that they tried to instill within the program, right? So as I mentioned before, when we sign up for a Seerah Intensive, you expect it to be draining. Like, we're ready for us to sit down and take notes on the book. But there are times during the 10 days where they would instill some engaging and interactive activity that we just don't need. For example, there was one where, so one of the teachers told all of us students to take your note card that's at your desk and write down why you're Muslim. And I was like, are we seriously doing this right now? There's more to this, but I was like, okay, fine. So we're writing down why you're Muslim, right? They're like, give your elevator pitch. Let's say you're talking to a non-Muslim in an elevator. Share why you're Muslim. I was like, are we seriously doing this, man? Or whatever. So I wrote it down. So 15, 20 minutes went by, and then the teacher came and said, okay, now all the guys are gonna go to the musalla, sit in your tables, and all of you are going to talk about why you're Muslim. I was like, dude, what are you doing, man? So we went to the musalla. We all sat in our groups of 6, and all of us had the exact same answer. I
love Allah.
What are you gonna say? Exactly. Like, there's some.
I mean, I'm sure there's an academic exercise to it.
So I'll mention that. So after like an hour of this, literally hour and a half of valuable time where we could be learning the Seerah, we talked about why we're Muslim, all of us Muslims who paid $800 to be here, we're on a dang no card why we're Muslim, I should calm down a little bit. So I went back to the classroom, went back, and then the reason why they made us write that was because there's a story of one of the Sahabas going to the king of Abyssinia and answering to the king of Abyssinia, King Najashi, why they're Muslim. So to understand how hard it was for them, they decided to have us write why we're Muslim. I was like, okay, it did connect, but that was a really, really roundabout way to get us to connect to him.
Interesting.
Which I wasn't ready for. Here's a couple other things.
Like what?
There was one where, so there was a part in the Seerah where Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam was able to create like a brotherhood society between the Ansars and the Muhajirun, right? It was like the Muakat project or something, right? So I checked the schedule. It was like on a Wednesday, right? So it was on Wednesday morning. I woke up for Fajr, and I checked the schedule for the day, and they're spending the whole first half of the day on this project, literally from 8 a.m. to 12 p.m. This whole thing on a project, So up at your time, 6:45. I'm so bad. I texted my friend, and I was like, "Yo, are you going to this?" And he was like, "Nope." And I was like, you know what? I wasn't planning on either. So I literally stayed in. I didn't go. So I slept some extra. I chilled with my family, and then I rolled in at 12 p.m. I was like the last guy coming in. I looked so bad. And I was just kind of seeing what I missed out on. So I asked some students like, "Yo, how was this project? What you guys do?" And the whole project was basically was to create an idea to create brotherhood in your masjid going home. So create like a brotherhood or a community there. So what they did was they made all the students, like group of 6, take this big sheet of paper and like draw out like your plan to create like a mu'akhad project for your community going back, right? So not just that written down, they had everyone present, all 200 people that were there, or something like that. However many people were there in the classroom, every group had to get up in front of the men or women and present their idea. Okay, so there was like however many groups that is, 200 divided by 6, whatever that is. All those groups had to present, and that took the whole day. And I was thinking, I was so relieved that I ditched it. Like I'm sure when students were talking to us about what they did, they're probably expecting me to like, oh man, I can't believe I missed that, man, it sucks. And then I went back to my friend. I was like, bro, thank God we missed it. It's so bad. It's so bad. No.
I mean, hey man, it's
like, bro, I'm almost 30 years old. Okay. Yeah. I'm not trying to do this no arts and crafts project with other grown men. Okay, I'm here to learn about
straight
the Seerah.
academic.
That's all I wanted, bro. Yeah. I wanted it to be boring, like boring, quote unquote. Yeah. I just want to sit down and get into the books and learn from all these sheikhs and these ustadas and teachers. Okay, I didn't care for like this interactive stuff because they already had socials after work. If you want interactive time, you're able to go to the socials. There's plenty of breaks every hour and a half for you to go.
You think that's like a idea generator for themselves?
Maybe.
Like, what can we do?
That's brilliant if it is.
It is.
They're smart. They're smart. So I'm not sure. Probably, bro. But yeah, man. It's like there's even actually more than that I won't cover, but you get the gist of it. They're like there are times where it just didn't need to be as interactive as it was. So I was really disappointed in that. Like I had to waste like hours of like all of our precious times to do this random interactive activity. I'm sure there's some people that liked it. Yeah. Another reason is probably because they want to make it more like social media friendly. Yeah. They don't want people just always just like being in the books writing notes for their pictures or for the videos. So they probably had to do.
So would this be a detraction for you? Like, is this a reason you wouldn't recommend it to somebody?
No, I still wouldn't.
Okay.
But just be prepared.
Yeah.
Like be prepared. Like you probably assume that you just be in the books all day because it's literally the words intensive in the title. Yeah. But it's not as intensive as I want it to be personally.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
How was it? Okay, so this is an interesting question. So in Chicago, we're not really used to like female teachers and things like that. Yeah. So how was that experience?
Yeah. You can get me in trouble, dog.
No, I mean, look.
I'm gonna get canceled, man. Oh, man. So, okay, to be fair, I'll be straight up, bro. I wanted Sheikh Mikhail and Sheikh Abdul Nasser the whole time. Yeah. Those were the guys that they marketed. Those are the guys that we see on Instagram and everything like that. Yeah. And don't get me wrong, those ustadhs were so smart. They were so smart. They had a bunch of knowledge. They were able to answer all of our questions, everything like that. But the delivery that Sheikh Mikhail and Sheikh Abdul Nasser have is just a different level, man. Especially Sheikh Abdul Nasser. Straight up, I'm just gonna single him out. Yeah. I look forward to his sessions. Yeah. Because you can just feel that this is his specialty. This is like his shtick. Okay. Like it's to talk about Seerah. Yeah. So, it was very new to me, someone from Chicago, to have a female teacher. I'm just gonna be real. Yeah. It's not really common, but obviously they're very qualified. Yeah. It's just usually we grew up in Al Masjid Dar es Salaam. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Where we don't even know what women look like in Dar es Salaam. We're like, oh, black cloth walking around. That's all we need to know. So like, in the Qalam though, it was like they still did a good job of having the porda between us. Yeah. But there were still 2 female teachers there, which was new to me. Yeah. But it was still like respectful. Never felt uncomfortable or anything like that. They're so knowledgeable, so qualified, straight up. So that was a shocker for me. Yeah. But obviously it didn't affect us. They had plenty of information to provide to us.
Okay. Yeah. Alhamdulillah. I mean, any other like thoughts about the intensive, the experience? Any other tips for people who might decide that they want to go?
Yeah. I'd still, besides all the crap I just spewed out just now.
I'm almost getting mad at you every time you say that word.
Seriously, sorry. All the stuff that I just mentioned just now.
I don't think she's gonna listen.
I'm scared of my mom still at this age. No, besides all the complaints I just mentioned, it was still an amazing experience, man. Yeah. Like I have a whole new perspective of the Seerah. I learned so much about Rasulullah. All 4 teachers were amazing. Okay, I was being a punk. Like they're all so qualified. They're awesome. Very relatable, very approachable. They did a good job of keeping it light, but then also knowing when to be serious during the Seerah too. Because there were times where there were some uncomfortable parts in the Seerah that we as a class had to discuss. Yeah. So we all discussed it as a class, and they're very open to answer our questions. You know, so overall, it was an amazing experience. Everyone that's looking for any chance to get started with their academics Islamically, this is a good jump start in my opinion. You know, because it isn't as intensive as I thought it would be.
Yeah.
So maybe people actually would welcome that. The fact that it wasn't so intensive.
Yeah.
Maybe people will be more willing to jump in.
Okay.
Because there are times to socialize. So if you're more extroverted than me and you're looking forward to those engaging activities, then this is even better for you. But overall, no matter what level you are in Seerah too, like even if you've read a few books, if you've read some podcasts,
Or never.
or especially if you haven't ever done anything,
Yeah.
this is really beneficial for you because like these 4 teachers are just so qualified, man.
Mashallah.
There's some things that you probably have read in the book that you didn't understand, but the way they explain it and worded it, it's way more digestible.
How's the food?
It was actually pretty good, bro.
What the hell?
So every lunch they did something new. One day they had portals.
Oh, okay.
Another day I think they had damasis.
Dang.
Yeah. Another day they had olive burger chicken wraps. So the food was pretty fire, bro.
Wow, that's really good.
So there were times where I would eat a plate, and I was like, "Yo, I want some more, bro." And I go back, and like the girls from the other side are like jacking the food. I was like, "Dang, dude! Like save it for us, man. You guys probably already have food." But there probably so many girls, way more girls than guys.
There's more girls than guys.
100%. I could just tell.
Okay.
Like at 8:15,
Yeah.
I was able to find a seat. Like there's guys probably like me, like teaching sessions of the program.
Yeah.
So there's plenty of seats. But then when you peek over at the women's side, literally there's girls sitting on the floor at 8 a.m. because the seats are already filled up.
Wow.
So the girls are, mashallah, man. That's kind of embarrassing.
I mean,
for
that's
us
everywhere.
guys.
That's everywhere. Oasis and Miftah, you name it. It's always the.
Is it really?
They're always in front. Yeah.
That's so fascinating. Like, what is it? Like, do they care
They're so
about
much
Islam more than
studious.
us?
Yeah, I mean, they're more studious. They're more spiritual.
Yeah.
More serious. I
That
don't know.
was a really shock. It was actually a pretty crazy experience. Like yo, like us guys we're sucking, bro. Like compared to the women, because women are on it, mashallah.
Yeah.
So overall, it was an awesome experience. Good food, good people, man. I met so many people from all ages.
Alhamdulillah.
So it gives you this, a reason to just meet people that are older, connect with them, learn their stories. A lot of reverts there too.
Yeah.
And then people from high school learning or taking winter break off, who about to be applying for colleges are taking the Seerah program with you too. So.
What about Murphy? Did you see Murphy?
So I did. So they still had some evening programs. So I attended the hurdles class with Sheikh Mikhail.
Oh, nice.
That was actually in Qalam.
Yeah.
I was able to attend Mufti Hussein's talk about Sahabas every Tuesday in Masjid, in the Carrollton Masjid.
Okay.
I was able to attend that. And I went to one Monday Roots program with Murphy, Abdurrahman Murphy, with Sami Hamdi actually.
Oh, dang, you were there.
Yeah, I was there, dude. I know he was about to roll up.
That's amazing.
Yeah, so it
dude.
was like popping.
I
It was
listened
packed.
to that on YouTube.
Did you?
Yeah.
Oh, I was there for
yeah,
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he was
He's amazing.
killed it, bro.
He's amazing.
Yeah, you're like, oh, what's he gonna say next?
Yeah.
Like you're just
And
so
he just
sucked in,
goes
bro.
on, and it's like
Yeah.
no tripping and
Seriously, so
Yeah,
articulate, man.
He's amazing. Yeah.
Seriously, even Murphy was like, "This, like, go on, bro. do your thing, bro. I'm not gonna stop you." So I was there for that.
Okay, hold on.
And then right before I left too, January 2nd, I think it was.
Yeah.
Abdurrahman Murphy, he was there after Umrah. Actually, he did the 30 and up program.
Okay.
So yeah, I cheated. I'm not 30.
Yeah.
But I still showed up.
Alhamdulillah.
Yeah. I was offended that I didn't get carded. Yeah. I'm kidding. But alhamdulillah, man, overall, Qalam is doing an amazing job, man.
Oh,
Like,
they are, man.
they're making, in Dallas, bro, this is probably another video.
Yeah.
But Dallas is just, the Qalam people specifically are making Islam look cool.
Yeah.
Like, it looks cool to be Muslim there. Like, Sheikh Mikhail and Abdurrahman Murphy and Abdul Nasir Jandar are like the cool guys.
Yeah, that's true.
You know?
That's true.
Like, I don't think that was common back in the day. Where, like, you're like, oh, he's a TJ. He's like a big dadiwala, big beard sab. He doesn't know anything what's
Yeah,
going
you
on.
can't connect with them.
Yeah, you can't connect. He's like just doing it off all day long, all night long, or something like that. We have like weird stereotypes.
Yeah.
But these guys are like still in thobes, still beards, still topies on.
But still some style.
It's
and
still like some swag.
Yeah.
You know, like Islam is not. It doesn't have to be so rigid.
Yeah.
You know.
One thing I was thinking about is that, you know, you have like this Deobandi tradition.
Yeah.
And then in Chicago, you have Darus Salam, you have Darul Qasim, and then in Dallas, you have Qalam. These are all Deobandi institutions, are like, they all studied at Deoband institutions, and there's such different expressions of Islam,
very.
you know, and I was actually thinking that, you know, over time, I think that people are going to start shifting more and more, like more I mean, I guess, I don't know if conservative is the right word, but let's just say that Chicago style people are gonna come to Chicago, and Dallas style people are gonna go to Dallas. Like, I think that is gonna naturally kind of happen.
Yeah, a bigger divide you'd say is gonna come.
Bigger divide, and I think that the students that they each produce are gonna be very different as well. All three of them have different curriculums, different goals. So it's gonna be very interesting, I think, in the next 10, 20 years to see, where Qalam ends up, where Darul Salam, Darul Qasim, and these different institutions across. IOK is another one in California.
Okay.
Like Miftah is one in Michigan. So like how these institutions are going to grow.
I'm curious to see that too,
Yeah.
because we were able. Obviously we know Chicago pretty well. We get the vibe that's here.
Yeah.
Overall a semi-conservative area. There's some pockets of it where it's not.
Yeah.
But where we are, I'd say it's pretty conservative
Yeah,
in my
100%,
opinion.
100%.
And then going to Qalam, like there's like female teachers, which is cool. You could see women which is like see Lily. I was like, no, they exist. Okay. Dar es Salaam, that's not happening.
Yeah.
But see, people could complain about either side. There's always gonna be complaints like, oh, this masjid is too conservative, it's not inclusive enough.
Yeah.
Or this masjid is too or is too inclusive. Like there's too much intermingling going on between the genders. We're always gonna have a complaint either side. So instead of just complaining about these issues, just like embrace that there's even variety here in Islam. It's really cool.
SubhanAllah.
Yeah.
I'm going to end with this question. Would you ever move to Dallas? Why or why not?
Bro, I get that question every day in Dallas, man. Because everyone in Dallas just thinks it's like they're in Jannah.
Yeah, they do.
I was like, bro, just come here, man. You're gonna love it here. There's literally no issues in Dallas. Like, you're gonna be rich here. You're gonna have a big house here. I was like, bro, I'm still gonna be broke there too. What do you mean? And everyone's still living in 2006 in Dallas. Like, oh, the houses are so cheap here. Like, bro, you're in 2023. It actually might be more expensive than Chicago now. So you can't use that argument anymore.
Yeah, SubhanAllah.
So to finally answer that question, I can't imagine doing it. I like how conservative it is in Chicago. Honestly, it's how I grew up.
Yeah.
I'm comfortable with this. There's so many like restaurants, and there's deeper roots in Chicago.
I feel like that too.
Like 100%.
There's definitely roots like khandans and families, and everyone you go,
Yes.
you'll know somebody somewhere. It's crazy.
I'm gonna take a quick shot at Dallas. They're all like transplants there, right?
Yeah.
No one's actually born in Dallas. They all came from Chicago or came from Houston or something like that, and then settled in Dallas.
Interesting.
So basically, I'm gonna go off here. Dallas people are just a accumulation of people who are lonely spending time together. Okay, they're all just lonely trying to find friends, and they're like, okay, you're lonely too. Let's just be friends.
Interesting.
And that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's a way to build community.
Yeah, but we have families, and we have cousins and second cousins and third cousins.
Yeah,
and
everyone does.
Family friends and all that stuff.
Like we have people born many people, multiple generations are born in Chicago.
Yeah.
Like in Dallas is now starting.
I think there at least 3 generations. Maybe I don't know.
Yeah.
3 generations of people who are actually born in Chicago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I love that, man. Yeah. Like if I'm able to, my whole ecosystem could be all Muslims here.
Yeah.
I'm sure maybe that could happen in Dallas. I'm not sure. Maybe not.
I don't know. It's so far. Everything's so spread out.
It is. Like there's like a masjid every maybe like 15, 20 minutes.
Yeah.
So if you're lucky, you're closer, but it's not that common. Chicago, me and you, within 3-4 miles, there's 3 masjids here.
Yeah, exactly.
So, yeah.
Alhamdulillah.
But alhamdulillah was a great experience, man. I could talk about Dallas, Chicago for a long time because I get this question all the time from
I know,
my
because
in-laws.
your in-laws are Dallas and then you're Chicago.
Yeah.
No, that's a really good discussion, and my friends are having the same discussion right now too. This Chicago-Dallas divide.
Dude, we should have a whole video about this, man.
We will.
To talk about the pros and cons of each.
Let us know if you want us to have a debate. Maybe we'll have a debate. We'll have 2 Chicago reps and 2 Dallas reps.
Oh, for sure, man. I wonder who would be
down.
our Dallas reps, man. I wonder who those would be. We'll find that out.
We'll find out, inshallah. Let us know in the comments if you want to see that video. Man, Jazakallah khair. This was a great opportunity for me to catch up with you and learn about the Seerah Intensive, inshallah. Hope it motivates all of you to sign up or do some intensive and learn about the Seerah, inshallah. Support Qalam, support these institutions that are
They're killing it.
Are trying to educate Muslims and non-Muslims about what Islam is in a different way. Like what Sheikh Amin says is that we need to represent Islam and we need to represent Islam. Subhanallah.
Bars.
So may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept your efforts. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allow the Seerah to be part of your heart, to infiltrate your heart, and be something that you stick close with for the rest of your life, inshallah.
I mean, thank you, man.
Of course, man.
Cool.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.